Humanity didn't unite in a moment of triumph. It united in grief. The destruction of Europa Colony wasn't just an attack. It was an atrocity. Over 1 million lives, vaporized in seconds when the Zorath Dominion's dreadnought fleet entered the Jovian system. They called it strategic cleansing, claiming Europa had harbored insurgents, a lie as cold as the ice that had once encased the moon. On Earth, the footage of Europa's fiery end played on every screen. People watched in stunned silence as the icy surface cracked and boiled, obliterated by beams of crimson energy. The screams of fleeing colonists echoed in the void of space, their lives extinguished before they could escape. For the first time in history, humanity shared the same pain, the same rage, the same call for vengeance. Admiral Layla Draven stood in the ruins of Geneva's United Council chambers. The once majestic building, now a symbol of global cooperation, lay shattered by years of Earth's own conflicts. But the attack on Europa had changed everything. Leaders from every nation were present, their faces pale and drawn. "This wasn't an act of war," Draven said, her voice like steel. "It was an act of annihilation, and if we don't stand together now, Europa won't be the last." The room fell silent. President Harlan Reyes of the Americas Alliance leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Admiral? That we take the fight to them? Our fleet is decades behind theirs. We'd be committing suicide." Draven's eyes blazed. "We have more than fleets. We have the will of a species that refuses to be erased. And we have something they don't understand: humanity's capacity to fight harder when there's nothing left to lose." In the wake of Europa's destruction, a desperate project was born. Codenamed Soul's Last Stand, it united the brightest minds of humanity. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, and even rogue hackers worked together in hidden facilities across the solar system. One such facility lay beneath the Martian surface. Dr. Mei-Lin Carter, a cyberneticist with a reputation for brilliance and rebellion, oversaw the development of Earth's first quantum warships. "They won't expect this," she said, adjusting her holographic display. "These ships will turn their own technology against them." Her assistant frowned. "What if it's not enough?" Mei-Lin's expression hardened. "It has to be." Far above, the Zorath Dominion's fleet prepared for their next strike. Commodore Vrax, an imposing figure with scaled armor, studied the holomap of Sol. His orders were clear: finish what they started. "Humanity mourns its loss," he growled to his crew. "We will show them their mourning is futile." Back on Earth, Admiral Draven addressed humanity. Her message was broadcast to every corner of the planet, to every hidden outpost and battered station. "We lost Europa, but we haven't lost ourselves. The stars think they can extinguish us. Let them try. They'll see what happens when humanity stands as one." The war for survival had begun. The Zorath Dominion fleet moved with precision, their dreadnoughts carving a path of destruction through the outer solar system. Mining stations on Ganymede and Callisto fell without resistance, their inhabitants captured or executed. Commodore Vrax's strategy was simple: crush the human spirit one loss at a time. On the bridge of the Dominion flagship Oblivion's Spear, Vrax stood before a holographic projection of Earth. "They cling to their fragile existence," he said, his voice a guttural growl. "We will shatter them, burn their homeworld, and the rest will surrender." His officers cheered, but Vrax remained cold. Victory was inevitable, yet the humans' defiance irritated him. "What makes them fight so hard?" he mused. Far beneath Mars's surface, Admiral Layla Draven stood in Sol's Forge, humanity's largest hidden military facility. A massive hangar stretched before her, filled with sleek warships unlike anything Earth had ever produced. Their hulls shimmered with quantum plating, and their engines pulsed with an eerie blue light. These were humanity's quantum warships, prototypes designed to outmaneuver and outgun the Dominion's fleet. Dr. Mei-Lin Carter joined her, wiping grease from her hands. "The fleet's ready, Admiral. These ships can warp short distances, phase through their shields, and hit them where it hurts." Draven nodded. "Good, because we're out of time." Lieutenant Commander Tariq Velasquez approached, holding a datapad. "Admiral, our scouts report the Dominion fleet has entered the inner system. They'll reach Earth in less than 48 hours. Draven's jaw tightened. Then we meet them halfway, launch the fleet. The warships roared to life, their engines humming with raw power. The fleet departed from Mars in tight formation, moving to intercept the Dominion Armada near the asteroid belt. On board the flagship Eternal Unity, Draven addressed her crew. Europa burned, and the galaxy thinks we'll cower, but they've forgotten who we are. Humanity doesn't bow. We rise. Today, we show them our fury. Her words spread across the comms, igniting a fire in every pilot, gunner, and engineer. This wasn't just a battle, it was retribution. The two fleets met in the void, the vast expanse of the asteroid belt serving as their battlefield. The Dominion dreadnoughts opened fire first, unleashing a storm of plasma beams, but humanity's warships moved like phantoms, warping in and out of range, their quantum drives rendering them nearly untouchable. One by one, Dominion ships fell. The Eternal Unity fired a concentrated burst of energy, breaching the harbinger of Conquest's shields and reducing it to a flaming wreck. Cheers erupted across the human fleet, but Draven's focus remained sharp. Focus on their flagship, she ordered. Cut off their command structure. On board the Oblivion Spear, Vrax watched the battle unfold with growing frustration. How are they doing this? He hissed. These ships, this technology, it shouldn't be possible. An officer stammered. Commodore, their warships are adapting to our tactics. Vrax's eyes narrowed. Then we adapt faster. Launch all fighter squadrons and prepare the Apex Cannon. If they won't fall, we'll obliterate them. The Apex Cannon, a weapon capable of annihilating entire fleets, began to charge. Its energy buildup cast a crimson glow across the Dominion flagship, a signal of impending doom. Back on the Eternal Unity, alarms blared. Lieutenant Velasquez shouted, "Admiral, the Apex Cannon is charging. If it fires, we're finished." Draven's mind raced. Then we don't give them the chance. All ships focus fire on the Oblivion Spear. Mei-Lin, can we warp directly onto their bridge? Mei-Lin hesitated. It's risky. The quantum drive wasn't designed for that kind of precision. It's our only shot, Draven said. Prep the drive. We're ending this now. As the Eternal Unity surged forward, humanity's fleet followed, their movement synchronized like a single, furious entity. The Dominion thought humanity would break, but now, they faced the full force of a united species. The Eternal Unity surged toward the Oblivion Spear, its quantum drive pulsing with unstable energy as it prepared for an unprecedented maneuver. Admiral Layla Draven stood on the bridge, her hands gripping the console. The tactical display showed the Dominion fleet closing ranks around their flagship, a wall of destruction meant to keep humanity at bay. Mei-Lin, status on the quantum drive? Draven asked, her voice calm despite the chaos. Dr. Mei-Lin Carter's voice crackled through the comms. It's ready, but I can't promise precision. We'll either land on their bridge or, well, scatter across the void. Draven smirked. Let's aim for the bridge. On board the Oblivion Spear, Commodore Vrax watched as the Eternal Unity pressed forward, its smaller fleet creating chaos among the Dominion's warships. These humans are relentless, he hissed. Prepare to fire the Apex Cannon. The weapon's energy reached critical levels, the red glow intensifying until it lit the entire void. Vrax turned to his officers. Humanity will be ashes in moments. But just as he gave the order to fire, a blinding flash erupted behind him. The Eternal Unity had warped directly onto the Oblivion Spear, emerging mere kilometers from the Dominion flagship. What? Vrax snarled, his claws digging into the command chair. Fire! Destroy them now! On the Eternal Unity, Draven barked orders. All weapons target their command deck, disable their systems. The warship unleashed a storm of plasma beams and railgun fire, tearing into the Oblivion Spear. The Dominion flagship's shields flickered and failed under the relentless assault. Alarms blared across the Oblivion Spear as explosions rippled through its hull. Mei-Lin, get me on that ship, Draven ordered. Are you sure about this? Mei-Lin asked. Positive. Prep the boarding teams. We're taking the fight to them. Within moments, the Eternal Unity launched breaching pods toward the Oblivion Spear. Draven led the charge, her boots landing on the scorched deck of the Dominion flagship. Around her, human marines poured out, engaging Dominion soldiers in brutal close-quarters combat. Draven's comm buzzed. Admiral, the Apex Cannon is still active. They're trying to fire it manually, Lieutenant Velasquez reported. Draven clenched her fists. Not on my watch, Velasquez. Take a team and disable that cannon. Mei-Lin, guide us to the command deck. On the bridge of the Oblivion Spear, Vrax stood, his scaled features twisted with fury. These creatures dare to board my ship, he growled. They will regret this insolence. Draven and her team stormed the command deck moments later, blasters ripping through Dominion defenses. Vrax roared, his massive frame charging toward the humans. Draven sidestepped his strike, her movements precise and unrelenting. Your reign ends here, she said, firing a plasma round that struck his chest. Vrax fell, his growls fading as his eyes dimmed. With Vrax defeated, Mei-Lin deactivated the Apex cannon just as it neared firing capacity. The energy dissipated harmlessly into the void. On the Eternal Unity, cheers erupted as Dominion ships began to retreat. The battle was over. Humanity had not only survived but emerged victorious. Draven stood on the deck of the Eternal Unity, gazing out at the stars. They thought Europa would break us, she said quietly. But all they did was unite us. Humanity was no longer a fractured species. In its loss, it had found strength, purpose, and fury. The Dominion had underestimated Earth, and now the stars would never forget. The Dominion fleet, leaderless and battered, fled into the void. The wreckage of their once imposing armada drifted among the stars, a silent testament to humanity's defiance. On board the Eternal Unity, Admiral Layla Draven stood in the war room with her senior officers, their faces grim despite the victory. This isn't over, Draven said, her voice low but resolute. They'll regroup. They'll send another fleet, bigger, deadlier. Lieutenant Velasquez leaned against the table, his helmet tucked under one arm. But we sent a message today. We showed them what happens when they push us too far. Dr. Mei-Lin Carter entered the room, her face pale from exhaustion. The Apex cannon is offline permanently, but the Dominion won't stop with one loss. They're too arrogant to admit defeat. Draven nodded. Then we prepare. Humanity isn't just defending Earth anymore. We're taking the fight to them. Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. Across the planet, billions watched footage of the battle, Dominion ships shattering under humanity's firepower. The moment the Oblivion Spear erupted into flames, and the cheers of survivors as the tide turned. For the first time in generations, humanity stood united. Political divides, cultural conflicts, and old rivalries faded as people realized their survival depended on their collective strength. Cities rebuilt their defenses, factories churned out supplies for the war effort, and recruitment lines stretched for miles. The loss of Europa had forged something the galaxy had never seen before, a united human front. In a hidden Dominion base on the far edge of the galaxy, the Council of Overseers convened. The holographic table displayed images of the battle, focusing on the Eternal Unity and the quantum warships that had decimated their fleet. We underestimated them, one overseer hissed, their features obscured by shadow. Their technology is advancing too quickly. Another overseer, their voice cold and calculating, replied, It's not just technology. They fight with a fury we've never encountered. It's their unity that makes them dangerous. The council leader spoke, their tone final. Then we crush that unity. We will show them that resistance is futile, no matter how bright they burn. On board the Eternal Unity, Admiral Draven gazed out at the stars. The Dominion's defeat was a victory, but it wasn't the end. She knew the war ahead would be longer and bloodier than anything humanity had faced before. We won't just survive, she said softly as if to the stars themselves. We'll thrive, and we'll make sure the galaxy never forgets what humanity can do. Humanity's loss had united them, and their fury burned brighter than ever. The stars had underestimated Earth once, they wouldn't survive doing so again.